It's a good runner, no doubt, but I'm not sure if it's the crucial ban, and it looks like Bren Esports think not, and they're going to go for that Celeste ban that they did the previous match as well, so staying true to that. It means either now, when you said that, well, Idris is on the fold, but so is Scarf, and there's going to be that Lance pickup because he wasn't banned. There's the Idris pickup. Are we going to see a Scarf ban?
Yeah,
Exactly.
we are going to see a Scarf ban. Exactly what Bren Esports want to do again. They banned Scarf, they banned Celeste, and they're in a really good position because as long as Blackfeather isn't banned, then they know that the enemy's not going to pick up Scarf or Celeste in the first pick because you can just counter it. So they can first ban Celeste, they can second ban Scarf, and know that they're going to be playing this game without any of the mages through. It was smart to not ban Idris or Lance so that Bren Esports could pick up the other. Infamous get one, they pick the other. And we're going to see an attacker ban, as we saw in the first series, actually. Attacker not being played at all, but being banned a little bit more. That is interesting from Infamous. I think maybe they want to do a protect the carry comp with two captains.
I think it shows that they could be considering a Sky pickup. Or ban. It was on the red side. I don't remember what team was on the red side for that match, but blue side actually ended up picking up a Sky and is maybe a steal kind of pick away from what the enemy team might have gone for. So I won't be surprised if we see a Sky come into here, but we're going to see the Batiste pick up instead, and Batiste is so strong right now, and yet not being played enough, I believe.
Yeah, Batiste did get a slight nerf to his crystal power ratio, so that meta. I don't know why he's fallen out of the captain changed at all. He's just not been played as captain. And there's a lot of CC, obviously, with the Batiste and with the Lance. That's a good combination. Weapon Kestrel is the backline, almost mage that they're going to have to try and protect. He's going to be just almost pretty much glass cannon, trying to destroy that Idris as quickly as possible. With Taka not available, I think Cruel could work. It's really tough to play a Cruel against Batiste and Lance. So Blackfeather, personally for me, would be the perfect pick for Bren Esports. But no. They want to play their jungle weapon Petal again because it won last game. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're just going to try a very, very similar comp to the last game.
Oh, my. I want to say, just out of intuition, that, general habit that, oh, yeah, we're going to Petal. But from that previous game, I'm really not sure. And it's as you say, why not? If it worked, why not do it again?
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's good against Kestrel. Petal is fantastic with the minions.
This weapon power Petal that you're talking about.
Yeah, Petal does great against Kestrel. You can just minions will follow Kestrel when she goes invisible. Even as weapon with low health, minions have some health, and so unless Kestrel's attacking them, they're not going to die, and so they can follow Kestrel when she's invisible. Problem with going with a crystal power Petal in this composition is that Batiste and Lance just destroy minions. They'll take them out really quickly. Said Lance was good against minions in the last game. It's true again here. And it's also very true with the Batiste. A Crystal Batiste, Bad Mojo, is designed for taking out area of effect, low health targets. So I think Weapon Petal will do all right. If Batiste manages to get on top of her, land the Ordained when Petal hasn't got a block, it will be a reasonably easy kill, especially in the early to mid game. But once it gets into late game, CP Idris will scale up. Petal will outscale Batiste. And once again, later on we get in this game, the more in favour of Bren Esports it will be, and they may be even able to take this 2-0.
Yeah, well, now what I would like to see for Bren Esports to have success in this match, I understand you say if they can get to the late game, but how I believe they need to get there is that they have to go and just put the faith in their Roma, and especially when they're playing on Arden. He's got the Vanguard there. It means you can play a bit more aggressive, and early on, especially early on, you want to be building a lot more damage than you would normally, and don't really worry about the defense. Of course, in the case of Idris, I think this would be the same either way, but I want to see Cincy one follow through again with damage kind of comp they were going. And I talked about in the previous match that maybe this would be working better if they had an Arden instead of Grace. And now they have an Arden and an Idris as well. So we'll have to see how they play in the second matchup, because we've got Infamous on your blue side and Bren Esports on your red side. So chat, put your hype in the chat. Let us know who you're cheering for for the second match. Is Infamous, are they going to bring it back? A game that they almost had the first time but was stolen away by Bren Esports, or Bren Esports going to make this one? They're like, we fix our mistakes from the previous match, but you know what? Weapon Power Pedal isn't one of those. Weapon Power Pedal was not a mistake. We're going to bring that back into the second match here.
As we're loading into the Halcyon Fold. And yeah, it's definitely going to be Weapon Pedal Pietris. Bren Esports going for a different rotation. Finally, we're seeing something different in the early game. They're going for mid push the wave, even though it looks like actually they're just swapping jungles, because we're seeing Infamous go to the back, she's going straight to the backs, and Bren Esports deciding to push the wave. Petal take their own backs, and so this is a really interesting rotation. What's going to happen at the end of it? Who's going to back off? Who's going to port home? Who's going to risk going for this Elder Tree? And it looks like Spaghetti's was able to get that pretty comfortably. So who is at the ahead at the end of this rotation? It, at the moment, looks like it's actually going to be Infamous, but we're only going to find out a bit later. Double port home was successful for Bren. So in the end, it was just a very different rotation, but both teams come out pretty even.
Yep, it definitely is kind of even at this point, and I mean, we'll just have to see how it plays out from here. And we can see that, if anything, Spaghetti was able to get up into lane first. Does have 12 CS already ahead of Mr. Jim, sitting back at 4. He is going to be able to clear out this wave, though. And we do see the full team rotation by Infamous, and they like to do this last game. They're going to do it again. Full team rotation down to this mid tree, and since he won't get steal, however, no, isn't going to be able to find the range, and looks like now Spaghetti and SNK going to go back to base there. So it's going to be pushed up to their turret, however. So not so much of what we saw last time of the aggression that Infamous had, but I think a lot of that was also due to them having an Adagio up in lane that they could play that aggressively.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's definitely not going to be as aggressive as Infamous. They've done a good rotation. They're now even on gold. Mr. Jim unable to, so I'm guessing X unable to port home. But Mr. Jim will back off and pick up some crystal power. Still can't quite get diversion paths unlocked, but we'll just rotate down with Petal to get as much ambient gold as possible. This is such a common rotation. And is he going to steal some? Yes, he stole both of those minions. He'll say it was intentional. I think one will say, I wanted to farm, mate. Just let me farm my jungle. And once again, as you said, Infamous, as 3, really deciding that the Elder Train is worth it. And for 100 something gold, it is generally not a bad idea.
Yeah, and I think it's more they want to make sure that since C1 doesn't become any more powerful than they need to. And it's interesting to see that Mr. Jim in the last game was being hyper carried, and you could see Cincy 1 taking a bit of that farm away, but for the most part I think they are still going to give a lot of that experience and a lot of that farm over to Mr. Jim to try get them ahead. But I'm not sure. I'm kind of worried that they'll focus too much on defense. We'll have to see when Mr. Jim next goes back, and if he's going to go a lot more for that damage, because especially on CP Idris, you need to get that Shad Glass early so you can unlock the Divergent Path and have that ranged attack. It's going to help you out a lot more just dealing the damage and farming overall, but just being in a safer position, especially when you're going against SNK on this Lance and Chingy on Batiste, who can really lock you down with those abilities like Impale and Ordained. So it would be nicer to see Mr. Jim focus for that first. And what's your say? Are you a Shatter man, a CP Idris, or are you a Frostburn kind of guy?
No, it's got to be Frostburn. I don't see why anyone would build Shatterglass first on CP Idris.
Damage.
Because yes, but you're not going to hit any damage because people dodge Shatrums if they're half decent. As I said, that Spaghetti gets hit by a double Shatrum without Frostburn. But as a CP Idris, if you land your basic attack, it deals a bit of damage. But if you have a Frostburn, then you're almost guaranteed to land a Chakram after you land your basic. And so with a Shatterglass, that's not going to happen. But with a Frostburn, you get that slow, you make sure that you hit your poke, and it becomes so much easier. Sync 1 could be caught out, but a good trampoline away.
Yep, and we do see a bit of poke coming out from the side of Infamous. You can see Guessing trying to hunt down Spaghetti, but obviously not going to be able to do enough damage on his own, as Mr. Jim and Cincy 1 going to back off into their own jungle now. And yeah, I mean, a fairly passive early game, if anything. I mean, we've seen a bit of poke come out here and there, but no real full-on engagements, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Just a bit of poke from both sides, and obviously no one securing first blood as of yet. There's about 500 gold lead for Infamous, which I'd say is mainly down to Chingy actually being able to secure those Elder Treants, get a little bit ahead in the jungle. Spaghetti is just freezing this lane in the middle, but Sync1 is there to secure some last hits. So it's, again, very passive. SNK just waiting in the bush. He's somehow the same level as Spaghetti, which we normally don't see on Captain, so he's been managing to get a lot of ambient experience as compared to what we normally see. And Mr. Jim has been successfully sieging the turret just bit by bit. Every time he pushed a wave in, he would get a Shotgun onto the turret. And it looks like he's going to try and do the same. Spaghetti, see if he had a Frostburn. He doesn't have a Frostburn. Damn it, I thought that might mean he could hit a double Shotgun. But Sync1 taking a bit of damage. One shot's not going to hit. And yeah, we're just seeing very passive from both teams. No one really wants to go fully in. And Bren Esports have got a very good comp against Batiste because they can roll or Vanguard or Trampoline out of any Ordained that does hit them.
Yeah, but you can definitely see the same kind of pressure being put on now by Infamous. They do have the minion candy there as well. Guessing going very low, using that Vanguard to actually save Mr. Jim's life instead. And the range abilities coming out from the side of Infamous, putting a lot of damage down onto this turret that's now under half health. Meanwhile, on the side of Infamous, it's looking kind of similar, but when it comes to the whole team being up there, Infamous have the damage output and the range to kind of stay at a safe distance. Ordain going to keep Mr. Jim in a bit of a situation where he's not able to push Spaghetti away far enough from that turret, and the first turret will fall in favor of Infamous, which is no real surprise there. And you were saying earlier on that if anything, Bren Esports might be able to bring this one back in the later game, but ooh, Chingy with a rush from behind uses the fearsome shade to catch them out, but there's going to be the shimmer strike onto him. Can Mr. Jim get out of there? It looks like there's going to be Fountain and Guessing going to stay around to kind of let Mr. Jim get out of that fight, and handing over the first blood. However, looks like Infamous continuing to push up. Meanwhile, since he won in the backs of the enemy jungle, it is going to be up to clear those, but was it really worth? They lost a turret. I guess it's better than losing a turret and getting nothing in return.
Yeah, Bren Esports really wanted to get their own tier 1 turret. You could see they really dived in to try and get it, but Shingy came with a fantastic shade to fear Mr. Jim and fear Mr. Jim and Guessing X, and force Sync1 to trampoline way behind the turret, almost towards the tier 2 turret. And Lance waiting in the bush. Is he going to face check? No, Flare, but there's still going to be a fight now.
Yep, and it looks like there's going to be the Impale onto Cincy 1. Bren Esports should be able to back out of this one, and it looks like they're going to do so. I'm surprised that I think Infamous, they know they've gone enough. They're going to go back to the base so they can buy up a bit here. We see Infusion being picked up onto Spaghetti now, and you can just see that reinforces the aggressiveness that they want to play, and they want to continue to keep the pressure up on Bren Esports and hopefully get into a situation where they were last game. We saw them in a very good space last game. It just happened to be that Kraken steal was enough to turn it around. Bren Esports obviously started catching up towards the late game. And in this situation, it definitely could be the same case here, because we've got the CP Idris, who he's already got that Frostburn and the Shadow Glass. There's a lot of damage if you get hit by the double chakra, as you were mentioning earlier.
Yes, a lot of people would disagree about first item. What do you think about this Frostburn Shatterglass second item? Most Idrises want to get Eve, Broken Myth, and Alternating Current, obviously, on Idris, but this time he's clearly not going to be able to do that with the Frostburn. So what do you think Mr. Jim's going to sacrifice to have this Shatterglass? Do you think he's not going to have the sustain of Eve, or maybe not going to go for the Alternating Current and just go for Broken Myth, go for shotgun damage as opposed to basic attack damage?
Well, with these being the first two items, it would look like it would be based on that chakram damage, because you really, usually, as you said, would go for something like an alternating current second, or at least a broken myth, so you're starting to stack up over the fight. So it's hard to say right now, but yeah, it could be that way, or they just go all out damage, because you can see what the now is just massive, but the fight could get turned around because Spaghetti has not been noticed, has not been checked. It looks like Bren Esports going to turn away and run away from this fight.
Yeah, Bren did try and be the aggressors. They tried to be the ones taking the tier 1 turret, but actually they went for the fight in the end, and that was probably a mistake because it left Infamous the team ahead. Now they're looking to seize the tier 2 turret. Infamous are slightly ahead.
Yep, and you can see Infamous putting down the pressure as usual, and look at this, SNK just going to go in with the Impale. There's going to be the Ordained to actually stop the Gauntlet coming out from Guessing, and meanwhile, while the enemies or I should say, while Bren Esports is locked down, Infamous are able to just like on Chingy and Spaghetti, put down the pressure onto this turret before. So SNK is kind of just the one to get up in the front line and block all the incoming damage for Bren. Meanwhile, Chingy and Spaghetti try and focus on that turret, which they got so very low. There's going to be the fountain used on the side of Bren Esports, and it looks like SNK, Spaghetti, both very low, but SNK using a bit of bait tactics here is holding onto that fountain, trying to let Bren get into a false sense of security here. It might be the case as they turn around. There's going to be the Gifnian wall to stun up Guessing, and now the fountain is used, followed by the Impale. But Ordained is up there. It's going to stun out Mr. Jim. They pick up the kill onto Pedal. They're going to chase down, be able to pick up the kill onto Guessing. Mr. Jim stayed around, but he's going to be able to get the Chakram as the return kill onto SNK. But this turret is more than likely to fall before he gets back there.
Mr. Jim didn't fancy staying around to try and 1v1 Spaghetti, 1v2 Spaghetti and Shingy. So as you said, tier 2 turret falling for Infamous. And yeah, that was really well played by SNK. He managed to just not fountain when most captains would panic and just go, yep, my team's very low, I should probably fountain them now. And then as soon as he popped his fountain, he did the Impale to start and engage the fight. Landed on 2 members at least, and Mr. Jim got Ordained. So when he tried to jump out of his Shimmer Strike, he got stunned and was pretty useless in that fight. I think we could be seeing a Broken Myth. We could be seeing just another Shatterglass from Mr. Jim. Would be very risky, but he's hoping that Spaghetti's not going to build an Aegis early on, and so that if he does go for double Shatterglass, it will melt through, and Spaghetti will be in a tough position because with the Frostburn, you're much more likely to get 2 hits on your Chakram as opposed to 1. And that one shot didn't really do very much, despite the fact Mr. Jim just sold his weapon power defense. Spaghetti trying to go in.
Oh, and we see the Ordained has gone down and they're going to follow through, but there's going to be the Gauntlet in return as Mr. Jim jumping onto Spaghetti finds the kill. SNK, however, trying to pick him up. There's going to be the fountain to keep Mr. Jim alive. Meanwhile, turns out Weapon Power Pedal going up against a CP Batiste. Weapon Power Pedal is going to be the one to win it out, especially in this late game here. Actually able to pick up the double kill, and we see the power starting to shine through on Cincy 1, and they're going to be able to get this gold mine as well. Might be able to get a turret out of this one. They do have the aced up minion wave. And
that turret is so low. That turret's just going to fall if Mr. Jim does actually push it. In fact, Kestrel might get there in time. Yes, this turret will not fall if Mr. Jim doesn't try to push it. But they will be able to secure the gold mine instead. So that's much more gold. And the tier 1 turret's so low that Idris could probably just get it with a couple of basics in the Chakram. Because at this point in the game, he has so much damage, and he is going Broken Myths at 3rd item. So expecting an Aegis picked up by Spaghetti means he's going to prioritise the Pierce and the ramping damage from Broken Myth. I think one thing to point out in that last fight was you said that Sync 1 as a weapon petal does now beat Batiste in a 1v1. But the reason for that was that Sync 1 kept laying down Munions, kept laying down Bramblethorn Seeds, and Batiste was like, right, I'm going to kill you. I'm empowered. I'm just going to I've hit the Munions. Oh, no. And then he loses the fight. Because the Munions have body blocked any bad mojos that Shingy does attempt to do. So that's really well played by Sync 1.
Yes, in so many ways, just Pedal is so infuriating to go up against at times. And I could imagine what it's like losing. I don't even think I have to imagine what it's like losing to a Weapon Power Pedal. I'm sure it's happened before to me. But yeah, Weapon Power Pedal was actually not that bad. And as you mentioned, the Munions, the Bramblethorn Seeds you can use to slow down the enemies that really want to jump on top of you, and then Pedal just keeps their distance, continuing to hit you. But right now we see Infamous pushing in again. Ooh, SNK combat rolling into that bush, but just as Mr. Jim got the recall and he's able to get back to the turret to protect it. But right now it could be...
There was an Echo available for Guessing X.
Yep, oh, there's going to be Guessing jumping right into the fight. Infamous not going to run away from that one. There's no Crucible used just yet, and they're going to continue to put the pressure down onto this anchor turret. And this is what I was about to say, that Infamous, even with Bren Esports there, Bren aren't able to push Infamous away. They're just going to continue putting the damage down onto this turret. There's some shade. Guessing's going to fall. The turret's going to fall. Infamous, just so much siege potential and so much damage coming out as a team over.
Yeah, Infamous are going to be able to siege turrets very effectively. They've got the weapon Kestrel, and Weapon Petal is really good at trying to deal in a 1v1, but at sieging, she's really not that great. So at defending a siege, she's just so squishy that you have to try and either dive into the back line and kill them, or you're just going to get poked out and you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So Spaghetti's still without any defense. So if Mr. Jim does manage to dive in successfully, it'll be a really easy kill, especially with a gauntlet, to try and land on Spaghetti's head, force one block, and then the Echo to force the second one. SNK using War Treads, complete War Treads, to try and stop the turret falling, but he is unsuccessful. Mr. Jim just barely getting it, and now Infamous are annoyed. They want to fight. Shingy infusing, let's go. Ooh, missed him.
Yep, and it looks like Bren Esports just going to be able to back away from Pedal with that trampoline, and of course if they need the speed boost, guessing is there with the Vanguard, and Mr. Jim doesn't have the dash, but he does have the roll on the Shroud Step, so that should be enough to get him out of the danger zone. And right now we can see Infamous rotating completely as a team. They don't want to give any chances away to Bren Esports this time, and they're just going to focus on this lane pressure again. It seems to be working out for them, so why not?
Yep, keep it going. They're going to push the wave up and possibly go for a Sentry or Kraken. And Bren Esports are not looking to defend the Sentry. They have now got the flare, so they try and go in. There's the gauntlet, but it's stunned!
Yeah, there's going to be the Giffian wall to get the stun onto that. Mr. Jim tries diving onto the backline to get onto Kestrel, but Kestrel going to have none of it, just putting the damage down range. And right now we see Bren trying to make the turnaround here. Mr. Jim being patient, waiting so he doesn't get stunned out by the Ordained, but one shot, one kill, landing onto the backline for Sin C1, guessing? Maybe? I'm not sure what they're doing there, but they're going to get caught out and fall instantly. Sin C1 might as well, but it looks like they should be able to get out there with the trampoline. And now Infamous have more than they need to either continue pushing this lane and try to pick up some kills, or go for this Kraken.
What happened there is that what Ghosting X did is, so Guessing X, is he threw a flare out to try and flare the small bush and the Kraken tri-bush, but his flare did not catch out Spaghetti, who was hiding in the little bush, and Mr. Jim's way out of position. He's 1 versus 3. He's going to fall, and that is now, you said it was a free Kraken before, that is more than a free Kraken for Infamous.
But the legendary Kraken Stealer remains on the Halcyon Fold. Could it be? Could Sin C1 get to the Kraken in time? We'll have to see. I mean,
it's interesting because SNK used War Treads so that Infamous got to Kraken quicker to make sure Spaghetti that.
Yeah, in this situation we saw Sin C1 didn't even try attempt to steal it. They just stayed back. They know that if they fall at this moment, it's going to put that team a lot worse off. They do only have 2 turrets left, so they're taking the seriousness of this situation into account. But they need to be.
They only have 1 turret left in the last game, and why not?
I mean, that was do or die. I think Bren Esports in this situation think, okay, we might have, you know, a chance here to push it back, but they need to be careful. We've seen before with sieges from Infamous how well they just take these turrets down. And oh, it looks like Guessing going to get caught up in that Ordain. Needs to be careful. Mr. Jim going to be the next target. Spaghetti just doing so much damage with that build there. Double Tornado Trigger, Sword Blade, and Tyrant's Monocle. They're going to go on the backline and fight out with Sin C1, but they take each other's lives. Mr. Jim barely going to get out of there alive, makes his way back to base, picks up an alternating current, but is it going to be enough? Chingy's still fairly healthy. They're going to be able to find the kill. Mr. Jim can't follow SNK. He needs to take care of this Kraken, but he does. He gets the double kill, gets the ace. Kraken, however, will get the turret this time, but not the crystal. Now they are fighting with fire because you can see here, it's once again a team comp that's very good at getting into the base, but are Bren Esports going to win it anyway? I mean, they need the vision. They need it when going up against Kestrel. And Lance, I think, could be able to get over the wall, but there isn't too much he can do on his own.
Yeah, Lance can impale over that B-side base. As you said, it's just not worth it because he'll start on the Vayne and they'll be like, oh, Lance trying to kill the Vayne, let's just port home and kill him. And it'll be really easy to stop that. Spaghetti did go for the double Tornado Trigger build on Kestrel, which is different. We normally see triple Tyrants or maybe 1 Tornado Trigger. I really like seeing double Tornado Trigger, especially on someone like Kestrel, because it means that you don't have to glimmer shot to do your damage. You can just stutter step and basic attack, and that's exactly what we saw Spaghetti do at the start of the fight. We'd poke down Guessing X with the basics, then turn his attention onto Mr. Jim, try and kill him with as many basic attacks as possible, and then once someone dives on you, you can use your glimmer shots. It still deals a lot of damage. Now, Mr. Jim also fantastically going back to base to pick up the alternating current. It did kill Shingy. I think Shingy would not have fallen without that alternating current basic attack. And so that was a really smart pick from Mr. Jim to be able to buy that and possibly save his team the game. But Bren Esports need to find a good fight, otherwise they will lose this game. I'm guessing X needs to not be stunned out his gauntlet. He needs to crucible when he's using gauntlet, because twice, I think maybe even 3 times, he's been stunned out of it. He knows it's gonna be coming.
Yep, and that is definitely going to be the case when you've got that Giffian wall available for Dane, but he manages to land the gauntlet, forcing out a block from Spaghetti, and they manage to catch out Chingy, getting a lot of damage in return, but there's going to be more Dane with return kill. Mr. Jim gets the kill onto Chingy, however, and look at Spaghetti, falls again to Pedal, and it looks like Mr. Jim going to be able to have free cleanup work onto SNK. He gets the ace, and he's going to be able to push for this turret. I don't think he has the damage to take Kraken alone, at least not with the speed he needs. And yeah, might be able to get the 2 turrets in return, which would be what they need for Kraken. Or is Mr. Jim really going to go for the start here? He needs to know that it's right on top of Vision, and he did not clear that out.
No, we need some Vision. Kestrel's got a one-shot. Mr. Jim has the option of let Kestrel steal this Kraken or die to the one-shot. Because he's going to try and cut. He's going to be successful at taking this Kraken.
Step left, Mr. Jim.
Just so one step. Kestrel can get this. Kestrel knows exactly what it is, Mr. Jim. He's going to be quick.
But Mr. Jim is able to secure it. The solo. This game so close by Bren Esports. 10 to 10 kills. And look at the gold difference right now. Just under 1k. We got for just over 1k. I mean, we got 44k on the side of Bren Esports and 45.6 for Infamous.
Ooh.
It is such a close game.
Kestrel was thinking about that back double. Went, nope, there's a flare. There's no chance for me to do that. Mr. Jim's got a Crucible as well as Guessing X. That's interesting. He's not gone for the Aegis. And what is Mr. Jim doing? He's just walking around. He's not pushing the Kraken. What Mr. Jim is... I've no idea what he's waiting for.
Waiting for that Kestrel, thinking Kestrel might come through.
Yeah.
They're going to wait. They see that Kestrel is now up at that turret, and they're going to push through, but that could be valuable time. Just like Infamous has great siege potential, where Bren Esports siege potential lays is very much so in those chakrams. Turrets don't move. Chakrams do a lot of damage when they hit on, and there's going to be Guessing jumping in, actually using the boots to get out there, and that is an amazing gauntlet I've never seen before. And they're going to land it onto Chingy. They pick up the kill. They're following through onto SNK. He's going to be able to make it back to base, but look at this Spaghetti jumping onto Cincy One, going to be able to pick up the trade, and Mr. Jim going low. Oh, but there's the Shimmer Strike. It's going to be enough. He gets the kill. He's moving onto SNK. Needs to be careful not to fall here, but it looks like he'll be able to get out there. Going to get the turret, but Mr. Jim, what are you doing? Can you get
He's doing the right thing. He's killing us.
Oh, Kraken. Not enough health to push through the last turret, but Guessing and Mr. Jim have to back out of this one. But
backdoor, Idris.
Backdoor Idris. He gets the health minion, the heal camp. He might be able to do it.
Just back off, Mr. Jim. Don't port there, don't port there. How did he not see him? Anyway. How did SNK not see him? He was busy.
Mr. Jim is too OP now. He's either using some form of hacks, invisibility hacks.
Yeah, he's got the John Cena skin. It's just impossible.
Right now, just really playing so great. That was amazing play overall by the whole team of Bren Esports. That gauntlet from Guessing over the wall. I just have never seen.
As you said,
before.
It's something you've never seen before because it's never been important for you to gauntlet over that wall. It's never something in a team where you think, right, I'm going to get to this position. I can. But it was perfect because Guessing X could hide in that corner so that he was inside the gauntlet but out of range of Kestrel, and then just walked into apparently the position in which you can gauntlet over that wall. I've never done it. I've never practiced that, but clearly Guessing X has. And then he just knew exactly where to go, trapped up 2 members, Shingy and SNK, with that wall jump. and it's really impressive to see. So Bren Esports, we're looking extremely good. I said late game, it's going to be Bren's game to lose. They look like they're going to be the stronger team, and as long as they get vision on the Kestrel, they'll be absolutely fine in this next fight.
Well, we're 25 minutes in, and I believe that is more than enough call the late game at this point. And you said Bren might be able to do in the late game, but we have to be careful. Spaghetti sitting in that top brush.
The call is
there is one piece of vision on the. It's okay. They have a bit of vision on the bottom side of, or I should say, the top side of the back jungle, but they don't have any on the top side of lane.
Of the lane, yeah.
Brush. And I think that's where
it's a great call from Infamous. Take the crack and force a fight as soon as Bren Esports can commit to the fight. War Treads, stop them from porting. Kestrel, they know. Bren Esports know Kestrel's backdoor, and they don't even need vision. Sync One's going to be able to port home. Will Message, they're not even going to port. They're just going to try and run. This is risky. Gauntlet nowhere near.
To get spacing, I believe, and they do the second gauntlet, but it's not enough. They're able to no! Spaghetti gets the crystal just in the last hit. Oh my, Infamous. Do you think they should have ported there? What they
should have done is, it's really simple. Basically, Mr. Jim and Guessing X have both got wall jumps over the base wall. So does Sync One. They went around the top to try and catch Kestrel. If Guessing X had gauntleted over the wall,